Okay, we're live. For the first couple times I tried it, said there was an error, and I was hoping that we weren't going to have problems this morning. Deanna, I am sorry about that. It is a number 50. Deanna asked what the size was of the first template I used yesterday, and it is a number 50, which is a 1 inch by 1 inch template. Jean, good morning from Newfield, New York. I hope you're staying warm there. Linda, my Michigander buddy from downstate. Joyce is here from Mesa, Arizona. Jean said it is freezing cold there. And good morning from New Haven, Evelyn. So nice to see you always, always. This morning, I'm still having a sound issue. Well, my goodness, try, let me unplug it, plug it back in, okay? Okay, how's that, guys? Is that better? Kathy, good morning. And Ronnie's here from northeastern Arizona. Jean, it's better. Okay. You know, for what I paid for this sound system, it should be beautiful all the time. So I don't know what's going on with it. I'm going to have to find out. I'm sure there's a better way. Jan says my sound is shivering this morning. It should be. It's cold here. Linda's here from Abu Dhabi, and that is in the United Arab Emirates, where I'm sure it's not freezing cold. Linda, good morning and welcome. Carla, good morning. Oklahoma City set a new low at 0 degrees. Kathy, good morning. Oh, yeah, she's glad to see I have my 301 back. After last night, I'm real happy to have it back, trust me. Hi, Linda. I had my Juki out last night and had all kinds of problems with it, and I'm not really sure why. It sews fine. It sewed fine after the class. So go figure. Anyway, Linda says it's starting to warm up there. It's way too early for her taste. I get it. I do. Lee, good morning, my friend. How are you? And Linda, I don't know if I said good morning or not, but good morning. Erin is here from Northeast Ohio. I love saying Ohio. You can actually sing it and it sounds good. Jan has 16 below with the wind chill, -1 ambient temperature, but she says that's warmer than it's been. So, wow. I guess this cold snap is going to break, guys. So just have heart. And, just look at it as great quilting weather, right? That's what I like to do. Karen's here from Missouri. Good morning, Karen. Welcome. And Sharian is here from Frisco, Texas, where they're getting snow flurries at 14 degrees. I guess this is everywhere. Karen Woomer says it's 0 degrees there too. In Missouri, I am so sorry, guys. But let's go ahead and get ourselves working a little bit and it'll warm us up. And Susie's here from uh, from the cold South in Texas. And Tampa, Florida is Sandy's domain. She said the machine I used last night was camera shy. I don't know what it was. It started out great, but then it failed us. So let's take a look at this morning, okay? Enough. Now go lay down. So this morning, what we're going to look at is a sampler set, and it is the stepping out sampler set. There are 5 templates in this set. And they range in sizes. We have one oval, and this is the oval here. And let me find, oh, of course, it fell down. And here is the oval in real time. It's two ovals fitting one inside the other, and we're going to do a design with that. I hope that you're going to really like. I went kind of bonkers with some of the designs I made with these templates. And then we're going to have these petals. The petals come in three sizes. This is a 2-inch petal, and you'll see the little flourish in there. A 1.5-inch petal, again with the flourish, and the 1-inch petal. Isn't that adorable? I love it. I think it's so cute. So, so cute. Now I'm putting those in my template stand so that when I need them, they are right where I put them. At least I hope I remember that. And this is a bud, and this one is really, I did a whole pillow with this one, and I just fell in love with it. It allows us to do some really, really fun things. And I'm going to kind of give you an idea as to what it will do as well. And that comes in a 1 inch, 1.5 inch. The bud is a 1.5 inch. So let's take a look at what we've got here. As promised, here is a quilt square. And this is what we are going to start working with. Now, this template set is works great for an edge-to-edge design, and that's the first thing I'm going to show you. Di is here. Good morning, and Monica from Durand, Illinois. Kim finally made it to alive. Oh, I'm so happy to have you here, Kim. And Kim is, she's new to my ideas. Late, that's okay, but I'm so looking forward to it. Well, Kim, we are so happy to have you here. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little larger petal. I'm going to use the 1.5 inch. And what we're going to do is we're going to just make columns with it. And that is not that hard to do, but let's go over some marking techniques. You can see I've already got my vertical, there's my vertical lines here. Now what I want to do is, because this isn't a quilt and I don't have a seam allowance up here, what I want to do is I want to draw in um, a seam allowance, I guess, and it would be a stopping or a starting point. For me, it's going to be a starting point. And I think I can draw that in a little better. This is, when you're working with real quilts, sometimes you just got to work with those seam allowances and the such. And there we go. Now, using the 1.5-inch petal, let's take a look at this math. What's going to happen here, make sure you got a good view of it here, is when we hold it up here, it's 1.5 inches finished, which means this area is 2 inches. If we take a look at the flourish, it is the same size. It is 2 inches. It also has a right and a left side. The two are not equal. In other words, you could come down on one side, come back on another, and actually make what I call more of a shadow than an echo. I'm going to show you how we're going to make that today as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to cover up my pen so it doesn't dry up. Patsy, good morning from New Mexico. And Marcia's here from a frosty Houston. My goodness, Marcy, Houston is so far south that we'd think you'd have balmy weather there this morning. Carolyn, good morning. Nice to see you. So here we go. I am going to put my foot down and I am going to pick up my bobbin thread. I need to set my needle height. There we go. Perfect. Oh yeah, that's going to move nicely. And let's pick up this thread. And I've got a dark purple in the bobbin. For these practice projects, it's a great place to use up extra bobbins. I'm going to move you over just a little bit. There we go. I want to get you a good view. Good view. And there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I could start here, okay? This is my first rotation, so I could start here and just go around and come down. I don't want to do that though. And the reason why is as we go down, we're going to be stitching 1.5 rotations all the way down so that we can get a balanced look. I'm going to sew 1.5 here. My first one I'll sew in a clockwise direction, the second one in a counterclockwise direction, and you will see what I mean. Here we go. And I'm coming up. That's kind of a thick seam allowance right there, but you'll see, no problem. Came right up over it. And we're going to come down and stop at the bottom. There we go. Needle down. Real important. Foot up. Okay, now I have to make a decision on which side I want to come down, either on the right side or the left side. Quite honestly, it doesn't matter to me which side I start on. What matters to me is that I stay consistent. I'm going to come down, I think I'm going to come down the right side. Okay, so here we go. And stop. Needle down, foot up. There we go. This time I'm going to go counterclockwise. Got some threads stuck in here. There we go. Counterclockwise. Again, I've got, you'll see, that was kind of a big seam allowance there too. But you'll see that I came right over it without any problems. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lift up here, line up. I'm going to go on the right-hand side again, only because I like consistency. Good. This now is a real thick seam allowance. So what I'm going to do, because you can see my foot does not want to go over that, but it's no problem. I'm just going to go ahead, loosen my foot. I'm going to set it down on top of it, stitch nice and slow over that hump. Now I'm going to bring my template back down here. And now that I'm over the worst of it, I can go ahead and drop that foot just a little bit. Now this one I have to go clockwise on. So here we go. And there we're off and running again. I know that this has been a question that's been asked several times, and I am going to go around it twice because I want to be consistent, and I'm going to stop right here. This question has been asked a couple of times, and this is one of the reasons that I took this quilt, which was completed, but I knew I wasn't going to do anything with it. So it's a class that I taught. So what I decided to do is cut it up so that you could see me quilting on actual quilts and how we address issues such as a heavy seam allowance like we did right here. And you'll see that looks absolutely fine. Absolutely nothing um, got in the way or flipped over or anything. Let's take a look. Um, Hard freeze in Houston last night. Wow. I just can't see that. Marianne is here from a chilly Maine. And Priscilla, good morning from Oklahoma. Di asked, Kathy, what weight thread do you use for piecing and how do you press your seams? Di, that's an awesome, good question. I use a 60 weight or an 80 weight. I believe Glide. I just found Glide and I love it. And I believe that's an 80 weight. I do press my seams to one side. I do press them that way. When I press my seams, I press them with steam and use a tailor's clapper. And what happens then is that everything gets really, really flat. And it actually works very well. I have one seam here. Let me pull it up right here. You can see how many fabrics I've got coming together here. And I steamed it real good this morning, put my clapper on it, and it's amazing how flat that is. Is it as flat as here? No, it's not going to be. It can't be. There's no way possible to get it that way because there's fabric under here, okay? And you'll see there's a lot of fabric under here. But when you look at the back of my quilts, what you're going to see is I do press them just the way they're supposed to be pressed. Now, with this particular pattern, I could have come in and cut out some of this fabric, but I didn't. And it's okay. It's not bothering me when I quilt it. Di, does that help answer your question? Either a 60 or an 80 weight thread, and I do press to one side. I do not press seams open. The only time, Tippy, no. The only time I press open is if I'm doing my binding. I do press my binding seams open. I don't know why. I think it's just the way I learned, whether it's right or wrong. I don't know. My my comment is do what is right for you. I know that because I do things a certain way, not everybody does, and not everybody has to. I want you to do what works good for you. Okay, so here we're going to start off on kind of a high point here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up my thread. This is going to be our second column. So I adjusted my foot just a little bit. And also want to remind you guys, okay, here is a link to today's templates. And if you put deal day 20 in the coupon code, you will get a 20% discount on them. All right, one stitch in place, and we're going to move. Okay, so I got over that great big seam allowance. So now I'm going to go ahead and lower my foot back to where it needs to be. And somebody said, well, isn't that cumbersome? Not really. You get used to it. And quite honestly, it doesn't take that long. Now, let's take a look at this. This is a big seam allowance, right? We lucked out. We are going to go around it. We're not coming anywhere near that seam. Isn't that awesome? That's a win. That's a win, guys. I'm going to go clockwise on the first one. And there's a little bit of it there, but that's okay. We got over it fine. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to put my needle down, and I am going to go ahead and loosen my foot just a hair. And you'll see that it comes across there perfectly. No worries. Down we're going to go, and We're going to hit another thick seam here, not a problem. Oh my goodness, that one just went right over the top of it without any issue whatsoever. First was clockwise, this I will do counterclockwise. I certainly hope that it is helpful to you to see me do these on a real quilt as opposed to just quilt squares. And quilts, is it easier on just a regular quilt square? Well, yeah, a little bit, but this is not a big deal. Okay, to me, this is not a deal breaker. And there again, that was a thick seam and it rolled right over it without any issue. Now, what I'm doing on this is I'm coming to this line here, this seam line, and stopping. So I want to put a partial circle here, and we're going to pretend that we're all lined up. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to come counterclockwise. I'm going to travel that little bit in that seam allowance and come up and around. Now, what you could do too is go this far and then come back and around here. Let me show you what I mean. So I could stop right there on that seam allowance, come back, come over to the right side, and I've got a little bit of a heavy seam there. So I'm going to just, there we go. And right there, I am done. So that is two ways of being able to handle a partial rotation. And we'll go ahead and cut that thread off. Let's do one more. What do you think? Isn't that pretty? Um, let's see where we're at. You're welcome, Di. Di thanked me for answering her question. Deanna says, I like Quilter Select 60 base colors. And, Quilter Select is a nice thread too. I kind of wish I could buy all threads, but I have a limited budget for thread. Priscilla, Priscilla says, thank you for the demo on how to go over bulky seams. I feel better now that I may be able to do that. Priscilla, you absolutely can do that. Absolutely. All right, there you go. Now that's enough. Okay, go lay down. My baby here is she's training me. She really is. She's training me to make sure I have snacks at my sewing machine when I'm doing a live because she knows I want her to stay quiet. And if she barks, she'll get a snack. Not the way I want it to be, but, any port in a storm, so they say. We're gonna do one more column here, and then we're going to move on. Now we do have kind of a hefty seam right here, and I'm going to again start with my clockwise. And we missed that seam, but we're not going to miss this one. So I'm going to prepare for this. I know I've got a heavy seam there, so I go ahead and loosen my foot nice and slow over that heavy seam. Look at that. Beautiful stitches, guys. And now that I've made it over the top, I'm going to go ahead, put it back down and tighten it back up. And you'd only need to finger tighten your ruler foot on. You don't need to get a screwdriver and yank it down. One, it's not good. You end up stripping the screw, which is really going to be a problem. And 2, it's harder, it takes more time, it's more cumbersome to take out a screwdriver and go ahead and loosen it just for that little tiny bit that we need it loosened for. And now we're gonna go counterclockwise. Here we go. Ah, we missed that one too. Hey, are we lucky this morning or what? I think somebody's watching out and feeling bad that we're putting up with all these temperatures, so they're gonna make our quilting go nice and smooth. I wish that would have happened last night. Oh, I was so frustrated. We got through it though. You know, we have to be flexible. And since my body is no more flexible, I keep my attitude flexible, I hope. Okay, 1.5 times again, and I am stitching on opposite sides for each rotation. And I'm going to do one more of these and I'm going to stop because we're going to have a design coming out of here. And there we go. This, you can see, this is very fast. It's a very quick design. And even with a small template like this, it is actually awesome. It's just an awesome little design, isn't it? It's so pretty. And it would go on anything. And you could come further apart if you want. I just love how these little lines are like serpentine lines here. Absolutely love it. All right, this one I'm going to show you. We're going to use the ovals and we are going to use, that's a 1.5 inch petal. I want to keep that out. And here are my ovals. Now, I know some of these designs, guys. Oh, good morning, Nancy. How are you? My goodness, it's good to see you. So good to see you. So, some of these designs I look at and I go, well, what was I thinking when I did this? And this is one of them. I'm not really sure what I was thinking, but doggone it, I hope I think like this more often because I sure am happy with how this one turned out. So here we go. We're going to start in the center, and it just takes a vertical and horizontal crosshair. That's it. I'll pull my thread up, and now this one we're not going to have to go 2 circles or 1.5 times around the template because it's going to only be one. We're going to make one circle. And then come around. And my foot is too high. So I'm going to go ahead and lower it just a hair. There we go. I had it up a little bit. And now I'm going to come this way. Around we're going to go. And look, it came right over that seam allowance like it wasn't even there. I'm loving this. You know, I'm really happy that someone asked me to do this. I won't mention any names, Priscilla. Anyway, I really appreciate you asking because this is helping me to finish a quilt. Granted, it's not going to be the way it was intended to be done, but it's going to be fun just the same. Because when I put these blocks back together, I am not going to put them back together to make the quilt pattern. I'm going to put them together randomly and so the pattern that the quilt was made with is going to be broken up, and I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be so much fun. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to do the same thing width of the small circle. So I'm making or oval. I'm making a small oval inside of a little larger oval. And we're going to go all the way around. Very easy, very quick. Oh, my template slipped a little bit there. That was my fault. And we're going to come this way. And come back down. Now I'm going to tell you something. I had a little bit of problem here in doing this one. And the reason being is, did you notice my hands were down here on this template? So what was happening, instead of helping me to move the fabric around, it was pressing on my glider. And so it was trying to hold everything stable. So I actually was fighting against myself. It wasn't that bad, but it does happen. So we need to be aware if something like that happens, to go ahead and either slip another piece of fabric under there, that works, or just make sure that you have your hands placed somewhere else. For example, here. It rather than have my hands here, it would be easier to have my hands here. Okay. Uh, Oh, Jess, thank you so much. Okay. Jess is new here and we welcome you. Kathy says, is it possible that Slow Steady no longer carries the sets with various sizes of the same style? The stepping out template like you showed at the beginning, the sampler only has small sizes of each design. Let's go over there, Kathy. That's a good question. I want to make sure I can answer that. Um, because I did get these a while back. Okay, the Wesley design on the ordering page, and I'm bringing it up right now. Select an option. It's template set only. And the template set actually does come exactly the way that I showed you this morning. Here's the ovals, and then it comes with the 1-inch bud. Where's my bud? Oh, no, it's a 1.5-inch bud. I'm sorry. A 1-inch petal, 1.5-inch, and a 2-inch petal. And that is, in fact, Kathy, what I'm using this morning. She says, maybe I just can't see the shapes well enough. You know what? It's early. Those things happen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it back in my ruler rack, guys. I know I get so much more done when I use my ruler rack. I'm going to come in and I am going to put one of the flourishes here. If you want, you could make an 8-point crosshair. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I just want them to come out and look kind of cool, okay? So what I'm going to do on these, I'm going to come out on one side and come back in on the other side. And what that's going to do is it's going to show you how it kind of shadows it. I don't want to call it an echo because it's so close together. So I'm coming out here and now I'm just slipping over to the other side and back to the center. And you see how close that is. You can barely tell that there's 2 lines of stitching in there. And I'm going to come on all 4 of the diagonal lines if I had made point cross here and come back in, and it gives a nice point at the end. And in we're going to go and stop in the center again. We got 2 more rotations to do on this. Okay. Again, coming out on one side and coming back in on the opposite side. Doesn't matter which side you use first. And if you don't want the little shadow lines, then you would come out and back in on the same side of the template each time. Okay. So here we go. We're going to come out on the right and back in on the left. And there we go. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim this thread off and check that out. Cute, huh? It's just kind of something really different. I'm not really sure that it looks like anything, but oh, Kathy, you are so welcome. You are so welcome. Always want to make sure you have the information you need. That is of the utmost importance. So that's just a kind, I mean, can you see this on a cornerstone in a quilt? I think that would look really, really cute. Now, this next one we're going to do is a little bit bigger and it's a little bit more involved. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to take out my 2-inch petal. And I've got 16 points drawn here, but on my piece of paper, I only have 8. So we're going to use 8, not 16. Oh, Joyce says we could make this into a butterfly. I think she's right. That would make a cute little butterfly. We came around here and added another wing. Or here's the body. Take these 2 out. Here's the body, and we have a butterfly. Love it. You guys see things I don't see. That's why this is so much fun. Okay, this one, I'm going to start with my 2-inch petal. I'm not going to use the petal portion. I'm only going to use the I call it a flourish. I have no idea what it really is called, what the technical name for it is, other than squiggly line. Could be that too. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Stacy what the name is. Okay, up we go. There, we've got our needle, our thread, bobbin thread pulled up. Okay, what I'm going to do here is we're going to actually be using this for 4 lines of stitching. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to stitch out on the right side. Till I get to the top. And I'm going to stop with my needle down. I'm going to take this one off. Yeah, you're wondering what I'm doing now, right? Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut that thread off. Now I'm going to take these ovals. I think I became enamored with these ovals. I'm going to first stitch one of the small ovals. And again, I want to point out there's a lot of thickness of seam allowances there, but it went over it without any issue. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch out the larger oval. And end up right back where I started. Now this comes out and the flourish comes back. And I'll put that down. Remember, I came out on what was the right side, is now on the left. I'm going to realign everything. So I came out on this side. I'm going to come back on the opposite side. And this is going to bring me right back to my center. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the template off and flip it over. And I'm going to repeat these 2 stitching lines. I'm going to come out on the left and come back on the right and back to center. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just slide this over, and I'm gonna come out on the right. I've got to tell you, I don't have staple tape under here, and this is sliding. So let me put let me put some staple tape on there to make sure that that stays nice and steady, doesn't slip. When I first looked at these, I went, "Oh, I only need staple tape on one side." Guess what? Now I need staple tape on 2 sides. That's okay. This is how we learn. We play and we learn. So I've got that on both sides. Now I'm going to take my ovals again. Going to stick those ovals in. Doesn't matter which one you make first. If you want to make the small one first, you can. If you want to make the big one first, that's okay too. Right around we go. Stopping where we started at. We're going to slide that template up. Make sure we're lined up on both sides. And I almost made one of my famous toe catchers. I'm so good at. We're going to stop. Make sure the needle is down and put the flourish back on. And which side was I on? Ah, good question. If you forget, it's not a problem because what you're going to notice if you get it on the other side, look at how different it looks. So I did have it oriented in this orientation on the first time. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip it. I'm going to come in with my spacing gauge. Whoops, wrong side. There we go. Okay, perfect. And we're going to come back down, hit center, needle down. Now we're going to take it off and we're going to flip it over and put it back on. And I'm just going to get this out of the way so it doesn't end up on the floor. Of course, it wouldn't be a normal day if something didn't end up on the floor, right? Okay, and here we go. There we are. And in on one side, out on the next, and up in the center. And we're just going to keep on going here. All right, up we're going to go. Now, to make it easier for you, what you may want to do is go ahead when you set the template off to the side here, keep it in the same orientation that you were using it. And that way it's going to be easier to remember how to put it back onto the onto the design. I'm sorry, guys. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. Okay. And up we're going to go. And see, this is what I was talking about. I knew this design was going to encroach a little bit on this one. Now, if I didn't want it to encroach anymore on this one, I could just leave off the bigger oval. But this is a practice piece. It's not going to large competition. It's not going to be judged. unless my dogs judge it. And they're pretty forgiving when it comes to me. Of course, it could have something to do with the fact that I happen to be the one who gives them that word I don't want to say out loud. Oh, yeah, because as soon as I say it, somebody who's laying here next to me is gonna come alive. Okay, in we go. And back to center. We're gonna take this out again. Some people may say, "Oh, that's so much flipping and so much turning and all of that." Well, there is a degree of flipping and turning. There's no doubt about it. But Manischewitz, when you see the result, it is worth the flipping and the turning, right? Get back to center. There we go. Oh, I'm just gonna move this over, I'm sorry. Eh, there we go. And I'm not using again, I'm not using all 16. Could I? Yeah, absolutely. Let me go back in and show you what 16 would look like, okay? I didn't use 16 because I was afraid that it was going to be too much interference down here. So let's take a look at what it would be if we did use 16. I'll just put an extra one on this one. And we're going to stop there. Get our oval out. Put a little one on. And put the big one on. And this is going to just almost kiss the ovals next to it. Oh my goodness, they come so close, guys. They almost are touching, but they're not. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this guy back on. Now, normally I wouldn't be doing all this turning. I'm doing it because I want you to see everything that I am up to here, okay? Now, did I come in on this side or this side? I came in on the left, so I'm going to come back down on the right. We're going to flip this template over, put it back on, come up on the left, and back down on the right. All right, so let's take a look here. Let's do a couple more. Let's take a look at this one first, though. So you'll see, look at how that looks. Isn't that cool? Actually, I like it. Oh, Jean's here. Jean's here from Mount Vernon. Good morning, Jean. It's awful early for you. Okay, Jan said, and it's worse when you can't spell the word without them knowing what you're saying. I get worried when my pet is so smart. Oh, you're absolutely right. We definitely cannot spell that word either. Or there's another one, BA double hockey sticks. That's how we say it. Hi, Pam. We're talking about how our dogs know what we're talking about, and they do. All righty. Let's just do a couple more here, and then we're going to close this one up. And we've got one more that I want to show you. Okay, come out. And and okay, so that was the advantage to the big machine. I could just hit a button and it would lift my foot for me. Yeah, and I don't have a knee lift on this one either. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And you know what you're gonna see is I just came over a seam here. The seam is um, pressed towards this side of the fabric, did not cause a problem. Now with this bigger one, we're going to see how we do on that. Although I don't think it's going to cause a problem here either. Okay, what's going to cause a problem is my foot came loose. And that is a disadvantage to this old machine. The foot does tend to vibrate loose occasionally. And you know what? It's a small price to pay for how beautiful this machine sews. And there we go, we got it. Again, going over those seam allowances, absolutely not a problem. Wait to put that in my stand. All right, I came up on the left, so I'm going to come back down on the right. Oh, maybe I didn't. Let me check. This is a great way to tell. Oh, I need to come down on the left. If you notice you're getting skipped stitches, normally, I always say normally because anything can happen, guys. Really, anything can. But normally, it is because your foot is too high. And if you end up with cleats like this, it's probably because your foot is too low, and that is what we call snowball or snow plowing. Okay, and it does. It looks like a snowplow moving snow. Whoops, got a little carried away there. Okay, one more time, and then we're going to have half of this design done. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to take this guy out. And we came down up on the right side. So we're going to go down on the left. And I'm going to turn this over because I want my staple tape on my fabric. And that happens. Just take it off and replace it. No worries. And there we go. Whoops. And you'll notice I don't have my lines all the way out here, so I'm really carefully lining up this line behind my foot. And I've got a quite thick seam allowance there. So there we go. I just lifted my foot a hair. We're going to get over that seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and press it back down. And around we're going to go. Easy as can be. You know, somebody told me, you guys make things look so easy. For us, it's not. And what I want to let you know is it will get that easy. We have been practicing and stitching for a long time. When we do this, we have, when we're here to this position, we have put in hours and hours and hours of practice, and we have practice designing, and we have taught classes in local shops and quilt guilds. And this is not something that this is the first time I sat down at the machine to try ruler quilting or template quilting. So don't let us making it look easy discourage you. Okay? It will get it will get easier as you go along. Okay, let's see where we're at. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. Repeat discount code, please. Oh, absolutely. It's deal day 20. And I've written it out for you. Okay. I love this. Good morning from 11 degrees Central New York. Michelle, you are too funny. We can't say there's a SQU in front of our dog now because she runs to look for it. You notice I didn't say it either? I don't know about you all, but we have herds of deer living around us, and they literally walk down the middle of the street. They actually step aside for cars to get by, and they stop on the side of the street if they're ready to cross and wait for cars to go by. It's hilarious. Um, but yeah, our puppies do like to alert us that they are in the neighborhood. Hi, Kelly's here from Arizona. So good to see you. Marianne, you are quite welcome. Okay, so now I have flipped this template over. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome to see people all around the country and the world have this deal with the same little idiosyncrasies of life. Isn't that awesome? And this is what makes us such a beautiful sisterhood. Okay. It's definitely the ruler work and the template quilting, but it's also that we are able to share other parts of our life with each other and find out that we're not that different, are we? We really are not different. Okay, so here is this design. I'm really liking it. If I want a little looser looking design, it's going to be here. If I want a little tighter design, it's going to be here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these lines out. And all I need to do that is find my ruler. And only gonna do, I'm gonna do a bunch. Only gonna do a few. And I'm gonna get a little bit of caffeine in me here too. Harry said, "Oh, Carrie, that's so beautiful. Watching you makes it look easy and encourages me to continue practicing." And she's already seen improvement. Carrie, that makes my heart smile. Thank you. Because that's what we want. We want you to just continually be encouraged. And it sounds like her neighborhood too. Do you live up here next to me, Carrie, and I haven't met you yet? Thank you, Michelle. She does like the design. Okay, there we go. Wet my whistle just a little bit. Now we're going to pull this out. Now, this seems to be one of the things that can be a little challenging too, is when you come upon these thick seam allowances when you're drawing your lines, what can happen is they can go cattywampus. And we all know that cattywampus is one of my favorite technical terms for crooked. Easy peasy, right? All right, now we're going to bring this one out. This is going to be a larger design than what the other ones were. A little more involved, but it's going to be pretty. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in the center, like we always do. Okay, pull my bobbin thread up and put my foot and my needle down. And why do I have to put my foot and my needle down? I have to put my foot down because if I have my foot up, when I put my needle down, it can easily crash into this foot. Now, I'm hand wheeling my needle down, so it's not going to be quite as bad. But if you have an automatic machine that puts your foot up and down, you could run into some real issues here. We are going to use for this design our petals, the 1-inch petal, the 1.5-inch petal, and the 2-inch petal. Normally, when we think of things, we think of smaller to larger. What we're going to do is we're going to do one line of this where we start larger, get smaller, and another line where we start smaller and get larger. So let's go ahead and start with the small one first. And I'm going to put these guys back into my ruler, my little ruler holder. I know the word. I know the word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here with my flourish. I'm going to stop here. I'm now going to put my petal in. Do you have to do it exactly in this order? No, you don't. You can put your petal in first and then put your flourish in. The reason I did it that way was because this is where I want to end up. Now I'm going to take this. I did that wrong. Okay, I'll show you on the next one. No worries. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my flourish on. And oh, this has got to go this way. I did not do it wrong. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to stop there. That's my second biggest one. Now I'm going to put my largest one on. I'm going to come up here. And I have got one very large seam here. I'm just going to hand wheel it over that seam because it is very big. And there we go. Put it back, put it down just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and finish that. Now we're going to take our template and we're going to come around. And you see, we only had to deal with this once with the flourish. So now I'm going to go ahead and travel back here and stop on my line. I'm going to put the second one in, back in. I'm going to come in this direction this time and travel. My foot let loose again. I didn't have it tightened properly. That's my fault. And, and right up to the base. Now I'm going to put the small one on and come back down. And woohoo, hello. I have got a big piece of, or a big bunch of thread in the center there, and that's what it got caught up on. And now we'll come back. And I call this my shish kebab. But we can do it the other way too. We can start with the large one first. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do here, I didn't try this earlier, so I'm just going to give this a shot and see if this will work. I'm not sure it will. I'm not sure it won't. Okay, so now we're going to come here. And we're going to stop there. And that was the big one. And the next one, and this is going to be our small one. And here we go. That one went quickly. Okay, I'm going to turn this around now. I want you to see it. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and put all the flourishes in. That's all I've done. I haven't done anything else. That's right. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the petals on. Let's see what happens. And stop there. I think, guys, this is going to be easier to do this way. I really do. And line myself up. Now, I did that in a clockwise direction. I'll do this one in a counterclockwise direction. And we're going to stop when we hit that flourish line. And now we're going to do the big one. And that was done. That one we need to do in a clockwise direction. So what I want to do too is take a look. I'm perfect. Well, no, I'm not. But my template's going to end up right exactly where I want it. And there we go. This is so much easier. Oh, I have got some thread built up there like you wouldn't believe. All right. So here is the largest going out to the smallest. And you can take those either way that you want. I call it a shish kebab. It looks like a shish kebab to me. Oh, so those are some ideas that I have for you with the stepping out sampler. Again, um, we have got, there is the link to it. And what we have is deal date 20, and it will give you a 20% discount on this set of templates. So I'm glad you guys like it. Thank you, Lee. Um, Anything in particular, any questions that we have? I really, you know what? I really like all of them. I like the edge to edge idea. It's fast, it's cool looking, it fits together. And this, without this, is a butterfly. we figured out. And yes, Diane, thank you. Diane, I love this. Looks like you can make coffee beans with this template. You certainly can. You definitely can. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This video will be available on So Steady's YouTube and Facebook page, and it will also be available on 906 Quilting's YouTube and Facebook page. So we're done for this week, and until we meet again, let's quilt.